VikesNow, Dustin Baker. This is the December 30th edition. We're talking with Dustin Klug. How are you, sir? You've been on before. Glad to have you back.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I love to be a part of the show. Yeah, I'm on Twitter, that Vikings fan 8. I'm also on TikTok. Some of you might know. Have 15,000 followers on there. So
Oh,
we're doing great over there. So thanks for having me.
oh, absolutely. There's a couple things I want to give as a caveat. The first is for religious watchers of the program. I don't know how many there are of yous, when I got this show off the ground back in March, Dustin, the other Dustin, he reached out to me and says, "Hey, I know some of this video shit. I can help you out." And me, being a relative video novice, I was like, "Well, I'm going to need it." I tried StreamYard, and you guys might recall the first couple videos, it didn't sync with my lips and the audio, and it really got on my nerves. So Dustin introduced me to OBS, and that's the platform that all of these shows are. So to you, sir, I'm eternally grateful for that. Are you still doing the video stuff in the shadows?
Um, I do a couple, video making, with my TikToks and stuff. So I have a little background in that. Kind of off topic on topic here, but
Mm-hmm.
at my work, I'm our big IT guy in a way, so I'm always helping with computers and stuff like that too. So I don't mind helping.
Oh, well, you certainly helped me out marvelously because otherwise I would have had to just hope that the StreamYard and this is a knock on StreamYard. I'm sure I was doing something wrong, but it happened 3 times, and there's nothing more frustrating in this space than having to go, oh, I have to record that thing. The second part is you messaged me this week and said you had some takes that you want to get off your chest. So we invited you back on to go through some of the Packer stuff. It's Packer week, desperation mode for Green Bay. It would be nice as a statement victory for the Vikings. So I'm going to jump in with some Vikings themed questions, and you can intersperse those takes as you see fit. The first one, you might recall, hopefully you do. Against the Lions, Kirk Cousins looked absolutely marvelous, and I'll argue looked the best he's had since 2018 when he arrived. Of course, they didn't win the game because that's how life goes. But do you expect this Cousins hot streak to continue against the Packers? Because it's new territory. He doesn't usually do this good in December.
Yeah, it's weird with how the schedule lays out, with the Packers and Bears both being the end of, the schedule here, both being outside. I don't have Cousins stats in the back of my head or anything of how he's doing late games in December outside or anything like that, but I feel like he'll take a little bit of a dip here. He's not having an MVP season per se, but he's doing everything right. Eight fourth quarter comebacks, that's good enough for me. So hopefully we don't have one of those situations this week against the Packers. Hopefully we can outright win this game. But yeah, I'm hoping that this Cousins streak continues. I hope he plays well. It helps when you have Jefferson to throw to. It helps when you have Hawkinson as well. So hopefully we get a couple touchdowns on Sunday. Help Cousins out here and keep that streak alive. He has, I think, 25 consecutive game or seasons with a or
I know
I'm
you're
trying
getting
to.
at 8 consecutive seasons with 25 or more touchdown passes.
Yes,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
yes, that's what I'm trying to say.
On the topic of traveling to Lambeau, they are in a playoff mode in the sense that if they lose, they're probably going to miss out on the postseason. So they've done this little run the table bullshit for 3 weeks now. Of course, it extends into the fourth. So they're going to be hell bent on victory. And for the Vikings, it's really not the end of the world. If they lose, they'll get the 3 seed. Life goes on, probably a playoff game at San Francisco because of it. But because the Packers are desperate and the Vikings can merely make a statement by eliminating Green Bay virtually, what do you expect from this contest on Sunday?
I don't expect too much of a high score, to be honest. I see a 20-17 type score,
Ooh, okay.
17-14 type score. Lots of ground game, lots of screen game. I know you guys probably remember back in 2020 when the Vikings beat the Packers at Lambeau. It was pretty much all Dalvin Cook,
Mm-hmm.
on a lot of screen passes too. I don't expect the same, I guess, production result, stuff like that from Dalvin Cook, but like I said before, it helps when you have Justin Jefferson and Hawkinson to stretch the field in that sense. So Packers are looking to get into the playoffs here. And I think it'll be a great New Year's resolution to end that Packers playoff hopes and dreams on Sunday.
Another thing I like to point out about that 2020 season, particularly Dalvin Cook, and in that stretch where he almost nibbled at MVP consideration, maybe just by me. But that was really, when you look back, that was the absolute prime of Dalvin Cook. That like 6 weeks, and then that season on the whole. I think we knew it at the time because he was at the perfect age to have a prime season. But yeah, it was windy as shit that game, you might remember. So Zimmer, being Zimmer, was like, "Oh yeah, baby, we're gonna run the thing." And that started to turn around the 2020 season because the thing got off to a rotten start. One popular topic that we didn't expect to be talking about in week 17, or if ever, is that Duke Shelley is the 14th best cornerback in the NFL per Pro Football Focus. He's qualified for the snap count, bada bing. He's a top 15 cornerback. Now, Cameron Dantzler is coming back, presumably healthy. Do we have a debate on our hands between Shelley or Dantzler?
Honestly, the way I see it is you ride with the hot hand. Duke Shelley has been playing amazing this season. It's funny how we have, all three NFC North opponents. You can call them great, you can call them whatever. We have the Bears, we have Duke Shelley, we have the Lions, we have TJ Hawkinson, Packers, we have Zadarius Smith. So we have the trifecta going there for us. But Dantzler, he's been, dealing with that ankle injury. It's not looking good for him. I think he is practicing though this week, or off the injury report. But I think he has to play behind Duke Shelley. He's playing super, super well. When Dantzler came back against the Lions, he just was struggling. I don't know if it was a nagging ankle issue or whatnot, or just knocking off rust. But yeah, like I said, I think you have to ride the hot hand in Duke Shelley.
And the thing with Duke to remember is that he's 26. So it's not like, this dude is drafted in 2013 and he's finally getting run as age 33. No, in theory, if this is the real deal from him, I mean, he can blossom into a startable cornerback. So I think there's this misnomer that because nobody knew who he was until the Bills game is like, well, how is this guy going to grab the starting job? Well, he's right in the prime age to do that. And this does happen in the NFL where a guy gets a shot and he usurps somebody like Dantzler. I got to ask, when you came up with that, that was really awesome on the Shelley, Hawkinson, and Zadarius. Was that one of your takes you wanted to get out?
That was definitely one of them. I was joking around. I was like, we need a really great Bears player to complete the trifecta. And everybody was just saying, we have Duke Shelley. What are you talking about? I'm like, you know what? I have to agree with that.
Yeah, especially if he transforms into a starter the rest of the way. And then it depends on, too, Kairos Tonga. He came from the Bears, and he's another one that, boom, his PFF grades in the 70s. He doesn't quite qualify for their snap count thing yet, but he's another dude that just doesn't let you down when he's in. You spoke about Jefferson a couple times now. How much of that single season record from Calvin Johnson and the quest for 2000, how much of that will he chip away against? We always think it's going to be Jair Alexander, but he never actually lines up against him. What's your thoughts on Jefferson's production? Because we're all on record watch.
Yeah, as optimistic as I want to be, I think he will get super, super close to. I think he needs 209 yards to break that record.
Mm-hmm.
I think he will get close. He's definitely hungry for that record, especially to beat it in that 16 game span.
Yeah.
Because with that extra game, people are gonna bark at you saying, "Hey, he had an extra game." Well, that it is what it is, but you're still breaking records. No, but I think he will be close. I want to say he'll have a buck 80. I want to say, but yeah, we'll see. Come Sunday, he's hungry. Jair's gonna try to shut him down. I don't know who's playing the other side, but I'm sure they're all on Jefferson watch, trying to make him not break that record
It would probably
in
be
their own house.
Yeah, it'll probably be Rasul Douglas, who transformed himself into a pretty good cornerback. The funny thing about Jefferson is each week when I decompress and write about the Vikings, the win or the loss, I find myself typing once in a while that Jefferson only had about 80 yards. And if Jalen Reagor did that, we'd do cartwheels like live on the show here. We would do it. And that's just where he is now. If it's 95 yards, it's like, oh, Jefferson didn't really get going. And it's like, what universe are we living in? Another guy who's jumped, stolen the spotlight, I would argue, in the last two games, even though the referees were kind of pricks against the Colts, is Brian Asamoah. And we have two aging linebackers. Jordan Hicks is 31, Kendricks is 30. They're both under contract through 2023. However, in theory, if they were waived or cut, all the emotions that would go with the Kendricks, there's not a lot of dead cap penalties. So tell me your thoughts on Brian Asamoah, and do you think that he'll start to see more of the snap count as we go down the stretch here?
Yeah, I mean, earlier in the season, he was getting close to zero, snap counts. He
Mm-hmm.
was just not a part of that defense at all the first half of the season. And then they slowly sprinkled him in with a few nagging Akeem Hicks, or not Akeem, Jordan Hicks
Akeem
injuries.
Hicks is always in
Um,
your psyche, isn't it?
he is
Viking
just
killer.
nightmares. No, but we got Jordan Hicks here. He's had a few nagging injuries to start the season or in the middle of the season where Brian Asamoah has been able to trickle in a little bit. He's been great on special teams as well, but I think with this future of this Vikings defense, especially at linebacker position, fast is going to help. With Brian Asamoah has that. He has that gift of speed, and he showed versus the Giants that that peanut punch where he knocked that out of the tight end's hands. He has that athletic ability. Kendricks and Hicks are not getting any younger. And they're not getting any faster either. So I think that's what we need on our defense is speed and athletic ability.
One thing that is tough for some, maybe not a lot, but Brian Asamoah doesn't look like the linebackers that a lot of us grew up with. He just kind of looks almost like a running back or a safety. And I would caution those types of resentments or like, oh, is he the real deal? Because that's where the game is trending. It's the speed. And, I always joke about how linebackers when I was a kid had shoulder pads that were like almost like the Tom Brady meme where he's wearing that coat. Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yep. And they don't need to be built like that anymore because the game is so pass happy that they don't, have to slam into the line of scrimmage 50 times a game to stop the run. But with Asamoah, I was based on the way that he's only been in a limited amount of time and he makes such a big splash when he does that I'm almost thinking if something happened to Hicks or Kendricks, tweaked ankle or something, I don't know that it would be this humongous downgrade to have Asamoah in there based on his
No.
playmaking acumen. And that's wonderful to say because you can cross off an off-ball linebacker off the draft needs here in a couple months if indeed they believe in Asamoah, and I'm pretty sure they do. You mentioned Dalvin
Well,
Cook.
you look
Yeah, go
at
ahead.
last year when we had when you look at last year, when we didn't have BA here,
Mm-hmm.
Troy Dye, he just, was not, I guess, necessarily great either. So it's nice to have that linebacker depth, especially with these few nagging injuries that we've been having at linebacker position.
Yeah,
So
and then Asamoah's speed and just if he had done what he has done with the fake forced fumble that the refs called back against the Colts, or last week's, it was all him, even the return. If he had done that in a normal season, like where he's getting most of the snap count, we would celebrate. But he's doing it like he's only played 80 snaps on defense, and it's like every time he's in there, he's doing something. So imagine the possibilities if he's nominated as the starter. And I'm sure we'll be talking about that all off season when we size up the incoming roster. All right, you mentioned Dalvin Cook. He had a career day at Lambeau in 2020, and he's been quietly, knock on wood, this might be the first season that he's played the entire way. When he was signed to the big old extension in 2020, folks were like, oh, Jesus, you're playing a linebacker or running back all that money. And then he's just all of a sudden gotten healthier. He only misses about 2 games per year, and he might end up missing 0. The reason I'm setting up this question is that the Packers run defense ranks worse in the NFL per DVOA, and that's their weak spot. They're pretty good in pass coverage, so we shall see there. But what role do you think that Dalvin will play a pronounced role against the shitty Packers defense?
I think you have to start the game with a couple runs, see what the Packers are giving you for that defense, and then just kind of slowly work your way into play action as well. I know that seems kind of obvious too, but you got to get Delvin into the passing game. Whether it's screens or out wide. In the Commanders game when he caught that touchdown, he has the ability to
Mm-hmm.
catch these passes. But it's hard to look his way when you have Jefferson, Hawkinson, Thielen, KJ all on different sides. Delvin is not necessarily your number one option to look at. But yeah, I definitely think that the play action, passing game, you're definitely going to have to get him in there. Packers are going to have PTSD from his screen game in 2020 against them. So yeah, definitely the passing game you're going to have to get him involved in.
And then I'll argue if they're indeed able to get cooking, and this is the same for any NFL team, but especially the Vikings, they're at their best when they're able to run the ball and just chew up the clock. And I know everybody loves to pass it. Nobody likes chewing up the clock because that's Zimmer ball, but it works. And if they can slice and dice the Packers on the ground, I think they'll be in fantabulous shape. The other part that's funny, you talked about all these mouths to feed with Jefferson and sometimes Thielen and Hawkinson, the new toy. With Irv Smith coming back, I told my homie Yannick that's great, but I don't want him taking any of Hawkinson's targets here, people. Like, let's not get cute. And I can't believe I'm saying that because Irv Smith was everybody's guy for 4 straight summers. And so it'll be interesting to see what they do with Irv because he is going to be a part of the postseason. All right, we're winding down, sir. There's a lot of us, this guy included, that aren't crazy optimistic about the Vikings' chances in this game for 2 reasons. The Packers are, like I said, desperate and need to win, whereas the Vikings, it's kind of like, oh, that'll be neat if we do. And then secondarily, the Vikings version, our Kirk Cousins-led Vikings have beat the Packers 3 straight times. And I just don't know if the world is prepared for 4 straight Cousins over Rodgers triumphs. What say you, Vikings, Packers, a little synopsis and a score prediction?
Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, it's I want to be optimistic because I am going to the game here, so I want to see a
Oh,
Vikings
awesome.
win in person, see how the Packer fans disappointed and stuff like that. That's the best feeling ever. But yeah, hopefully we can get a win there. I think it'd be a nice to add to our win total, obviously, and keep that second seed. I that first seed is obviously not obtainable, I don't think anymore.
Probably not.
Depending on if the Eagles win, it's gonna be a far stretch. So, yeah, I think Vikings will squeak one out. I think like I said before, I think it'll be a 17-14 type game. I think the good guys will be on top with the Vikings winning 17 to
Well,
14.
we'll take it. So before we hop off air, did I forget did you want any of your takes that you haven't crossed off your list? You want to get out in the atmosphere?
I think that's pretty much everything that I kind of knitted in there.
Yeah.
While you had all your points there, so I think
Okay.
I'm okay for now.
All right.
Thank you.
Fantastic. One more time, where to find you on Twitter, where to find you on TikTok, and we will log off for the afternoon.
Yeah, so on Twitter you can find me at that Vikings fan 8, and
Mhm.
then on TikTok you can also find me that Vikings fan. Yeah, you'll see some of my great takes, some of my great videos. So yeah, make sure you guys give me a follow there.
All right, wonderful. And then you keep me posted because you're a forefather of the show. You let me know when you want to come on and we can rap about the postseason. And then when we get to off season, there's all the time in the world to chat about the what if. So you hit my line
Sure.
whenever you want to come in. We appreciate the time. Anything else?
I think that's it. I think we all need a Vikings win this Sunday. Let's go.
Yeah, let's get to 13-3. All right, man. You take it easy and we'll talk to you next time.
Yep, you too. Thank you.
Yep, later.